I think the first very bold move that I did.
Like transferable skills.
I experience failures, I think, almost every day.
Does she look like an introvert to you?
No.
No matter what you're doing, it's all a game.
You know Russians hate small talk, right?
Like, if you're about to go to prison, call me.
Yeah, full disclosure, yeah, this is how we met actually. Yeah.
And I know that Gen Z most probably would cancel me for that.
Did you learn the word figure outable from one of our previous podcasts?
Realize that I had 9 jobs in 10 years. That's the beauty of Dubai.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Work in Progress podcast, where we talk about getting ahead in work and in life more broadly. And with that, I'm Michael.
I'm Vlad. Hello, everyone.
And we have a special guest today. And with that, let's get started.
So today we have our special guest, Dasha, who is the event producer in Dubai now, but it has not always been the case, right? You made multiple bold, strong career shifts, career moves. I think that I don't know anybody who has made bolder and even weirder career moves than you did. And today, actually, this is what we're going to talk about, right? So we're going to talk about the career shifts. We're going to be talking about why is it good or bad to make such moves. And of course, we're going to hear your career story. So now you are the event producer in Dubai, but I know that you started as an intern in consulting back in Russia. So how did it go? How did it happen?
Hi, everybody. I'm super excited to be here and very nervous because it's the first time I'm participating in the podcast. So if I forget some words or English at all,
judge you.
Don't judge me.
Of course.
Yeah, so my name is Dasha, as you said, and I'm an event producer in Dubai, but I'm a strong believer in career moves, career shifts. And yeah, as you said, I started many years ago at consulting. I was an intern because I was studying at the university in the Faculty of World Economy and International Affairs. And like many my fellow students, I didn't know what I wanted to do because at school I dreamt to be a film director, a theatrical director, but of course it was never perceived by my parents as something serious. So they basically pushed me, and no blame on them, to study how to be like an international economist. And because I didn't know what to do, I just applied for the first internship I saw. It was an internship at HR consulting at PricewaterhouseCoopers, the company everybody knows about. And it taught me a lot, but I think we will talk about it later,
Sure.
but I knew that it wasn't something for me. After I finished university, again, I didn't know what to do. So I somehow found myself in advertising industry.
Also in Russia.
Yeah, also in Russia. And I didn't know anything about advertising. And they actually requested some background, either educational or practical. I didn't know anything. I somehow got into a big international advertising agency. And actually, for some reason, I had a super fast career track there. I was growing very fast. But I wasn't happy about that because I had some weird obsession about music industry, even though I know that it's crazy, and I know that show business is like everybody said that show business is a dirty thing. It's not for everybody. And I was successful at advertising agency, but I decided that I should give it a try, and I just said goodbye to all my future prospects at that company, to all my future prospects as a big person in the advertising industry, and I just made the leap of faith and jumped into music industry, which was, I think, the first very bold move that I did. And I started to develop myself in the music industry, but then I somehow got into tech industry. I worked at TikTok. I worked later in a big AI application. And then, again, like I was growing very well in this tech industry. It was actually tech, but also mixed somehow with marketing. So I used my experience at the advertising agency, but it was never enough. And then I somehow found myself in the event industry, and it was another very bold move that I did, I think even unconsciously, because I didn't know that I'm going to event industry. I just wanted to join one particular company in Dubai, and this is how I appeared in the event industry, again, with no knowledge, no background, immediately taking on huge responsibility, a lot of tasks. And I could say that my journey in the event industry so far appeared to be one of the most successful ones that I have ever had. But I cannot say that, I love event industry. This is something that fulfills like my dreams and my passion a lot, but I cannot say that I will stay in it forever, because I know that I have to try many things in life. So who knows, maybe I will make other bold moves when opportunities appear.
So how long have you spent in each industry? Because it sounds like you mentioned a lot of industries quickly. So is it every couple of years? What's the background on that?
Yeah, well, actually, I've never worked at one company for more than 2 years.
Wow.
Of course, not all the companies were in different industries. So if I can categorize all of those companies, I would say that it was consulting, advertising / marketing, tech, and event. So basically we can say that 4 different industries that I worked in. And yeah, in one company I've now worked for more than 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how long in the current company?
In the current company, it's been 7 months.
Okay, so you still have some time before the next move.
Yeah. I hope my mentors will not watch this podcast.
Or maybe they will, and they will know that you are proud to be there and happy to be there, which is good.
I am happy very much.
How did you decide to make these moves? So, okay, for example, let's even forget about internship and consulting, but you've been working with a music band, and then you decided to make the move, or decided to move to TikTok, which is the tech plus working with the influencers, with the celebrities and so on. So how did you decide that it's time to make these moves, and how did you decide that this is the right move for you and this is the move you want to do?
Mm-hmm. Thank you for the question. In my case, I think it's important for every person who is about to make a move or who has some opportunity on the horizon, is that you shouldn't run away from something, you should run away for something. And in my case, I was always running for some interesting opportunity and never running away from the company or from the team I didn't like. Maybe the only exception was the work in consulting, because I just felt that it was not for me completely. It was the only job when I learned a lot there, but I felt like it's definitely not for me. This industry is not for me. Okay. But in all other jobs, I can say that I made a lot, I had a lot of accomplishments within every workplace I had, but I just had interesting opportunities, and I knew that each and every opportunity will bring more for me. And I think this is the question every person should ask themselves if they have some opportunity, or if they think about looking for another job. They should think, will I really achieve more if I change the career, if I change the company, or I just have so many problems currently and it's a very hard phase at my current workplace that I just want to run away from it. And the second reasoning is completely wrong, because you will always have problems, you will always have hard phases in every job. And if you change the jobs every time you face these challenges, then most probably you will not become successful.
Great. I think this is a very good point to highlight. Not the motivation, avoidance motivation, but motivation towards to something greater. Yeah, perfect.
And to that point, you mentioned some of the struggles. What are some of the struggles you face in these different jobs? Are there common struggles you face? Can you talk us through some of those?
Well, the struggle that I used to face, but now it's become way easier for me, maybe because I changed different industries and different companies. A big struggle for me used to be an integration in a new team. because I'm naturally an introvert and I like spending time with myself. I'm not a very sociable person. And at the very beginning of this, like moving to different jobs, it was very hard for me to integrate in a new team. And I was mainly like a sole player everywhere. I didn't like to work in the team. So for me, it was super challenging. But I noticed that at my most recent 2 jobs, it's become way easier because I just got used to it. I got used to new people, that I always have like new managers, new teammates. For me, it's easy. And now I feel like I can easily join a new project team very fast.
Does she look like an introvert to you?
No, and that's why I didn't want to call her out while she was going on her spiel. But yeah, that's surprisingly interesting. And you would have gone through that a lot with all these different shifts. So that's yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, but introverts, actually for introverts, it's a good exercise to change project teams from time to time, because you learn how to, like, you're still an introvert because this is something you're born with, but you learn how to be this like extrovert in public. You know, you learn how to work with different people and communicate. So it's a good exercise, and it's a good like pushing you out of the comfort zone. Second challenge, well, obviously, is that every time you join a new team and a new company, for me, it's a big challenge. And I think there are many people like me that, like, I'm super organized and I like to keep my things, like my tasks, everything super organized in like Kanban systems and so on.
In a what system?
Like Kanban, I think that's how it's Kanbanized.
Kanban.
When you have different streams of work and you have different projects and different streams, within every project you have different tasks, and you...
Is this like a Russian thing or something?
No, Kanban is coming from Kanban is coming from Japan. It's a Japanese production system. So basically you have multiple streams, you have statuses of your projects. Probably you have seen this, like the board with the stickers where you move them from like backlog in progress, done.
Never seen that, no.
Okay, just write it down and Google it.
Yeah, I'll Google it after.
Yeah, and
it's a great thing. It's a great thing to manage projects, by the way.
It's the next episode about.
Okay.
And every time you move into a different team, a different company, you need to, again, from scratch, learn how they organize the work. And to be honest, in many companies, especially startups, and I worked at startups plenty of times, there is no organization of the work. And for me, it's a huge challenge every time to understand how they work and how to, in all this chaos, to find some structure. So for me, and of course there are many more challenges, but I would highlight these two the most.
So yeah, I think that's interesting about the adjustments to the teams and everything. What about failure? Have you experienced failure at any of these, any of your many past experiences, any common failures? Can you walk us through that a bit?
I experience failures, I think, almost every day, but of course they used to be, again, it's actually a thing that you learn over the years, that failures happen, but it's not the end of the world. Because for me, like maybe 10 years ago, all the failures, they seemed to be the end of the world. I used to be a big drama queen, and still am a little bit. But the thing is that the first biggest failure was when I was working at consulting company as an intern, but at Pricewaterhouse, even if you're an intern, you feel yourself like a full-time employee. So for me, it was a very frustrating experience, because I used to be a very good student, but then I'm joining this company and every day I'm humiliated that I don't know nothing. How can you even be a good student, because you have no experience, no background, you're so bad in everything you are doing. Like, this is what I heard and this is what I felt, and this was for me maybe so far the biggest failure, to feel myself completely unsuccessful at work. This is how I felt every day going to Pricewaterhouse, maybe because I was just very green and fresh, and I didn't know how to like perceive and process all of this feedback. And honestly, I thought at the end of that internship that I will always be very unsuccessful.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the feeling I had. But then I joined advertising agency, and I realized that maybe that industry just was not for me, or something else. Maybe I didn't know how to communicate with management, because at advertising agency, it was was a super successful experience. That's why many people didn't understand why I moved to the music industry afterwards. And another big failure was when I was working at the music industry, when I was working as a manager of one big Russian artist. We had a huge project, and this project still exists, and it's a very successful project, and now I'm proud of it, and I'm telling everybody that I was among the people who launched it. But I started working on this project without any prior experience how to manage such projects. It's like a big music online show on a video platform, and I didn't know anything about handling such projects. So I made like a huge amount of mistakes in terms of how to handle the tasks within the project, how to handle communication with the team members. So I made a huge amount of mistakes, and basically, like, I felt, and I resigned after that, even before the project was finished, because I felt like this is a fail and I'm a failure. But because, again, I changed quite many teams and many jobs, now I realize that no matter what you're doing, it's all a game, and you shouldn't perceive anything seriously. And even if you make a mistake, it's just a part of the game. Right. And you just like take yourself not so seriously, and all of those mistakes and all the people around not so seriously. So yeah, right now I understand that all of that is just figure outable, and nothing is the end of the world.
Did you learn the word figure outable from one of our previous podcasts when Vlad introduced that word, or where did that come from?
Actually, I thought that I invented this word.
Did you invent
it? Yeah,
so
but
he
then
took it from you. Is that
maybe? So this word doesn't exist, right?
Well, I don't think it exists.
It does now.
If I'm wrong.
It does now.
If I'm wrong, the native English speaker, I'm going to be embarrassed that the two Russians prove me wrong. But
I think it does now.
Yeah, you guys might have introduced it to English.
I think I invented this word, yeah.
Yeah, why not? Yeah. You mentioned that you felt yourself as a failure, but then you realized that the mistake at work or a failure at work, it is like, it does not define you, as I think we spoke about this in the first podcast. So how did that feel? Like, how did you come to this distinction that my mistake doesn't make me a failure?
I think maybe it's hard to say how exactly it was formed, because I think it just naturally comes to all the adults at some point. But I think a very like a turning point for me was when I was working at TikTok. It was after that work with the artist, and I think that TikTok was, I know that now many people say completely the opposite, to my surprise, but it was one of the healthiest work environment I've ever faced in my life. And I had an amazing line manager, and honestly, this was the only time when I quit a job, when I quit a TikTok. It was the only time when I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to quit the job. I just had to do that because of the circumstances.
This was TikTok in Russia.
Yeah, TikTok in Russia. So it was the job that I adored. Also, not only because of the product, but because of the team. And I had an amazing manager. We're still in touch with her, and she showed me what it is when the company, the team, I don't know if I put it right, but like highly open for failure. So every week we had several internal calls when we were encouraged to talk about our failures. So we didn't, awesome. Even though it's a Chinese company, we were encouraged to openly tell to the whole team how we failed over the week. And it was very weird when somebody told only about their success stories. So we all told, like, I tried to sign this contract, but I didn't manage to do that. I was talking with this celebrity because I was dealing with celebrities, and the celebrity shouted at me and blocked me everywhere. And or I launched this project and I did not fulfill any of my KPIs of this project. So we were talking about that openly, and my line manager was like that. Every time I failed at something, I always called her like almost in tears. Oh my God, I failed again. And she always told me like, I don't care. Just go and make your mistakes. If there is something like, if you're about to go to prison, call me. I will help you.
That's a real failure.
Yeah, and so she was like that, and the whole team was like that. And I think maybe that was one of the turning points, because I realized that fails at work are actually good, and they don't determine yourself. They just make you stronger, more professional. So thanks, TikTok. It was it was an amazing experience.
How did you put it earlier? You need to seek failure to grow, right?
Yeah.
So this is exactly what it was. So it was, I think actually this is like one of the very good elements of the growth mindset, of the growth culture in the company. And it's good that when you create the healthy environment for when there is a place to fail, that's perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. And what are some of the big takeaways, skills you learned because of the failure? So I know we talked about it briefly yesterday, but can you highlight some of those key things you learned, whether it was that you can fail and that you don't, you figure out how to handle it internally, you figure out how to grow confidence from that. What are some of those takeaways and things that you've learned from any of the failures?
I think that I learned what was for me very important. I learned how to communicate with people you're working with after you failed, and how to openly tell them that you failed. And it comes to both like managers, team members, and counterparts, if you have any counterparts within the project, within the company you're working at, how to be honest about these fails. And also when it comes to communication, me personally, I don't know about you guys, I think you are better at communication than me, but I had a lot of communication fails at work, because I don't like to talk openly with people, because I'm an introvert. I didn't get used to talk openly, what problems I have, from what I suffer. But I learned after many mistakes at work, communicational mistakes, that if I feel at work, if I feel angry, if I feel that I'm suffering at work, I have to come to the manager or whoever it is and talk openly about that. And that was one of the probably most important takeaways, especially from my previous workplace, that I don't need to like accumulate all of that anger and tension inside of me. I need to talk about that, because otherwise you will always have like anger outbursts and so on.
Do you have any interesting stories about that you want to share?
I do have a lot. Actually, I had some counterparts that banned me on in messengers. They just stopped communicating with me. That
Really?
were like, I will not communicate with you. Yeah, I had one very, it's a very nice example when a guy who was very important for my project, he was like my main counterpart. He just told like, I cannot communicate with you anymore. I'm banning you. This is the number of my secretary. Now we can communicate only through secretary.
What did you do?
Actually, well, no, I know. I'm very pushy. So yeah, I think he just got a little bit sick of communication with me.
Let me guess. You wanted him to follow your schedule that you laid out for him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and at one of the workplaces, it didn't. Well, yeah, it happened quite recently. I just had like I think it's called like nervous breakdown, when just something happens with you and you black out and you don't remember half of what is happening with you. And that was also one of the times when I realized like I don't need to accumulate all of that. I need to talk. And I would say that almost in any work, in any industry, communication is probably one of the main skills. Of course, not if you are a pilot, not if you are a surgeon. I think these are exceptions for everything. These are one of the most like responsible jobs in the world, and they mainly rely on your practical knowledge. But in most of the jobs, especially in like creative industry or in consulting, the most important thing is how you communicate with people.
100%.
Interesting thing. Like if we go back to your career path, to your career story, you're saying that the communication was one of the hardest skill to master, but at the same time it was the skill you worked like most on, right? And if we look at your career path, your requirement for the communication and the requirements for your communication skills, it was growing together with your career. In when you were in consulting, you were crunching numbers, making PowerPoint presentations, especially like at the analyst level in consulting. This is what you do. I believe you rarely communicated with clients. You mostly communicated with internally with the team and crunching numbers. Yeah. Then you moved to your advertising agency. Of course, you started working with clients. You were making the presentations. I know you traveled abroad for the presentations. You worked with different cultures. Then you moved to the band. And you needed to work directly with this guy. You needed to work directly with celebrities, like top tier celebrities in Russia. Then you moved to TikTok, working with multiple celebrities. Like it was double the size, double the amount. And I believe the amount of communication is just like snowballed, right? And then you moved to the event industry in Dubai, in completely different culture. And I think now, like, at least is what I can see, like at least good 70% of your work is the communication of itself. So it is, I think it's super interesting how how the skill that you were, let's say, struggling the most with, or you thought that you were struggling the most with, became the core of your skill set. I think this is an amazing example how you develop the skills that you think that you're struggling with.
Yeah, that's true. Especially you can hone the skills very well if you're living in Dubai, because here with all this mix of cultures, you have to learn how to deal with everybody, understanding that you cannot change people from another culture, and neither cultures are bad. They're just very different. And yeah, that's true. When you work in events, or I think in consulting, it's the same. You have all the time clients or counterparts or like partners who are all from different cultures, all with different accents. Sometimes you don't understand each other at all. But yeah, like here it's the best place to advertising of Dubai, but the best place to improve the skill.
So can you speak to some of the ways you've improved your communication, some of what you've learned by dealing with all these different cultures? So again, I know Vlad sort of just gave a high level, but you come from Russia. You worked at a French company in Russia. You worked for an American company briefly, right? PwC is American company, British
American.
company? British American. Then you worked for a Chinese company in TikTok. Then you worked for the theater where it was very international. And now you're working with a lot of Saudis and Arabs, I guess. So what have you learned along the way in terms of how you communicate? What are some of those obstacles you might have faced? How did you overcome it? And maybe talk through some of that if you can.
Oh, well, what I've learned is that it's actually not very bad to be Russian because
what?
we...
What do you mean by that?
I mean that we are kind of like, if you put on a line, let's say like Western and Eastern people, I know like it's very difficult, it's very rough categorization, but anyway, like if we put Western and Eastern people, Russian would be somewhere in the middle. So we can understand quite well both people from the Western part of the world and people from the Eastern part of the world. It helps a lot, but still, of course, you can struggle with other nationalities, and they can struggle with you just because you have very different cultural code. So when I was working with French company, for me first it was like it blew my mind because I didn't understand why nobody ever responds to me, and then I realized just because they have a better work-life balance than us, and that's just like
it's very diplomatic way of putting it. But actually, like I'm kind of jealous. Like those people, they know how to have fun, and they know when to stop working. When I was working at Chinese company, it was also a very interesting experience because what I learned, and again, it's not bad. What I want to highlight is just the peculiarity of the culture, and you need to know about that. I never heard the word no from any of like Chinese managers, and first it was very frustrating, like why they say to me yes, but then I found
find out that actually it was a no. But then I read about it and I realized that because it's impolite to say no directly. In Russia, it's completely polite. You can say like no.
Right in your
okay.
face.
Of
Straight
course,
in your
no.
face.
Yeah, but a person from China or from Japan would never say that. It's just impolite. And you need to understand no in the context. So you need to like read between the lines. And this is your responsibility to understand the context.
Where did you read it? In every podcast we recommend some books. So
Culture Map, the best book about different cultures. It's an amazing book.
Yeah, that's true.
But
that's true.
this I learned in practice while working at TikTok. And yeah, now working here, I work a lot with also with the locals and with Saudi. And again, to like when you are Russian, it's a bit easier to understand them because we're closer culturally than I think people from the Western countries to people from the Arab world. But for me, what was very important to learn is that you cannot start the conversation about work right away here. It's again impolite. You cannot start a business meeting immediately throwing questions about the project or about budgets or about anything. You have to first ask about like, how's your mother, how's your cat, let's drink coffee, and that's not bad. And most
here in the Middle East, you mean?
Yeah, in the Middle East, yeah, and especially in Saudi Arabia. And it's okay if you have 10 meetings about nothing before you actually close the deal. It's okay. It's part of the process. You shouldn't be irritated about that. But that's all you learn. Like the book Culture Map is not enough. You need to actually experience that and just understand that this is okay. They're also irritated by you, by your behavior, as much as you're irritated by their behavior, but you should just learn how to coexist. And again, that's the beauty of Dubai.
But you know Russians hate small talk, right? You know that.
So I do know that actually, yeah. That's a good point. I had to think about that for a second, yeah. That's true.
This is something very weird, by the way. Like, I totally agree that if we put like Western culture, Russian culture, and let's like in a micro scale Eastern culture on the spectrum, then okay, Russians will be in the middle. But then, yes, that's absolutely true. When you communicate with Arabs or with people from East Asia, you need to build the rapport, you need to build the relations first, and so on and so on. And then we all know like all these jokes about the small talks and how American do this and how like all the Western corporate culture is all about the small talks. And if you put Russians over there, they don't like either. Like they hate small talk. Like if you go to LinkedIn or if you go to Twitter or X, whatever you call it, or Threads, and you find a lot of conversations how Russians working in the Western companies, like they complain about
they must hate it.
talk. Yeah, they do. And then at the same time, again, like they are not ready to spend a lot of time to talk about the cat because they will also consider this not as a relationship building, but more about the small talk. So the very normal conversation when you join the meeting with Russians will be like, hello, so today we're going to talk about this one. So what's on our agenda? And everybody, like people didn't even get their coffee yet. And like, okay, they already want to finish this meeting.
Don't waste my time.
Exactly. Don't waste my time.
With the accent. Very, very direct people you guys are. But do you find the Americans to be overly small talk oriented, or what's the view from a Russian perspective about how Western companies handle?
Oh my God. I think we have to put here this Russian comedian, the one that you liked when you were a child, who always mocked Americans. We will add it to the episode.
Old guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Old guy. Yeah, I think it will be super relevant.
Can I ask a real quick question related to that point? How do you know all the details about what cartoons he liked when he was younger? Is there something I'm missing here? Or?
He just shared on Instagram directly.
You guys have known each other for a long time, I guess, right? Something like that. Okay.
Like remember Dasha's career path?
Yeah. You seemingly knew it without her even explaining some of it.
Yeah. Remember Dasha's career path? So what was the first place?
Pricewaterhouse.
Consulting. Yeah. What was my first place? Pricewaterhouse.
I would have guessed that. Okay.
Right.
Is there a ring? Is that?
Yeah. This is how.
Is that related somehow, or is that?
Yeah. Full disclosure. Yeah. This is how we met. And actually, Dasha's my wife. Yeah. Oh, you didn't know.
Yeah. Of course, I knew that. I just had to. Yeah. But as we were saying about the Americans, the comedian, what were you guys saying?
Yeah. So we will show that. But like basically, like all this small talk culture, I think the Russians who are not used to working in the like Western corporate environment, they will find it very irritating because it's fake, and most importantly because like they don't know how to do this, and they will feel very weird. Like, okay, why we've just spent 5 minutes talking about the weather or saying how are you spending your weekend, like how do you spend your weekend, where actually nobody cares about this. That's why.
Yeah, the Russians I know, and I don't put you guys in that category. I think you guys actually are good with small talk and everything, but the Russians I know definitely would. I can't imagine imagine that at all.
But honestly, like even for me now, for example, when I communicate with the Russians guy or Russians at work, for example, I often find myself more to the Western spectrum.
Me too.
Like I'm very okay with the small talk. I find now I actually find it weird when we start right away.
Yeah, me.
I don't feel comfortable starting right away, by the way.
And also, I feel myself that I smile too much.
Oh, yeah.
When I join calls with only Russian people, I feel myself really stupid because I'm always like, "Hi, how are you?"
You become very Americanized.
Yeah, and everybody is with these poker faces, like, "Okay, I'm an outcast in this Russian party."
We were talking about the cultures, right?
Yeah.
Different cultures. So you have the mixture of this French and American, British, and the Russian and Chinese, and then now you are exposed to like many different cultures. All of that, like this completely different experience. What would you name as the like transferable skills that you can bring from one industry to another, or you brought from one industry to another, that helped you in your other jobs?
I think actually the first skills, they were formed at PricewaterhouseCoopers, and it was mainly hard skills that I think now I consider it like basics for every person, but still I see many people who don't know how to do those things. It's basically working in Excel and doing presentations. And I know that it sounds like everybody's supposed to know how to do that, but actually it's not that common, especially Excel. And I'm super grateful at that humiliating experience at Pricewaterhouse for teaching me how to work in Excel, how to do good presentations, how to work with numbers, with a lot of numbers and analyzing them, because you might need it in almost every job you do, most probably. And also this super hard working culture that I started learning actually from the university. I would say that it's because my university was also very, very harsh. I learned how to do those 24/7, how to do overnights. And I know that Gen Z most probably would cancel me for that, but I think you need to learn it when you are young, because to learn how to do overnights at work when you're 40, it's impossible. You need to learn it when you are young. You need to form this vision, like you need to work hard. The second, knowledge, and I would definitely recommend it maybe to also everybody, especially in the current like world of social media, is knowledge of marketing and advertising. And of course, I'm lucky because I had a chance to work at advertising agency, and they taught me a lot about like marketing products and marketing people as well. But I think this is important for every person. So even if you don't have a professional background in marketing or educational background, it's good to acquire some knowledge in that, maybe through some courses, because even if you don't market products, you anyway have to market yourself. And working on your personal brand, it will always help you, because even it's funny that today I got a message from some random person like, "Hi Dasha, somebody gave me your number. They told me you know very well how to unban people on TikTok. I don't work in TikTok for years, but I like there's still people transfer my number because they say like, oh, Dasha knows how to work with TikTok." And with me it happens a lot. Just people approach me because they need my skills. They don't need even the company I'm working at. They just need me. And most probably it's because from maybe 20 years old, I started marketing myself very actively writing everything that is happening in my life on Instagram. Then I started being very active on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn for me now is the key social media. And I just started like, I don't know this word in English, but like it's a person who is writing songs about what they see. So I became this person. Like I see something at my work, at my life, I just post it. So I'm trying to promote myself.
So you just document your life.
Yeah, I just document everything. And the skills how to promote that and promote myself, they came from the advertising agency. Yeah, maybe, and of course communication skills, but I think we already covered that.
So technical skills, then the work ethics and the work attitude, then the communication, and building yourself as a brand, like personal branding, personal promotion.
And not only personal promotion of everything you do, because you might not notice that, but we all do all the time with marketing and sales. It doesn't matter what you do. Even if you are a surgeon or a pilot, at some point you will have to sell yourself or market what you're doing.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. So I think so 3 of those skills I think anybody can learn that are non-technical, right? So technical maybe does require a specific job for that. But work ethic is totally within your control, right? It's how much are you willing to, put in the time, put in the effort. So I think that's something that's a choice.
Because if you want to achieve extraordinary results,
what's the line again?
If you want to achieve extraordinary results, you need to put extraordinary efforts.
There you go.
And go for a walk, right?
And of course, go for a walk.
Now, we don't all agree about that. I don't know what that was. That was not my method. Dasha, do you go for a walk when you get stressed?
Actually, no.
Okay, so I think that might just be a Vlad thing. I don't know. We'll ask the community. Maybe you guys also like to go for walks when you're stressed like Vlad. But I've never heard that before personally. But that's all right. But it is interesting. I think even the sales and promoting yourself, you mentioned that's something that's really important. And to go through all the different career transitions you did and to be able to do that, I think is something that can relate to everybody and is something. And we've talked about it, that these are the soft things you can always control about yourself and about your career, and that's very important for thriving in whatever position you're in or anything like that.
I have a question again related to your career path now. So you've changed multiple workplaces, you've changed multiple industries. We already talked about the skills, about the experience, what it gave to you. Okay, that's fine. But then you have never worked in one place longer than 2 years, right? So I can easily imagine a random average HR person looking at your CV, and most likely it will be she, and she's most likely saying that, oh no, she's a jumper, she's a job hopper. No, this is a red flag. But it's not. And I firmly believe it's not, and especially today it's not. So how did you overcome this, and what do you think about that? Like, what do you think basically, how does that look in your CV? What do you think about it?
Yeah, sometimes I look at my CV or on LinkedIn profile and I think like it doesn't look good because it's a lot of different experiences, a lot of different companies and different industries, so it doesn't look linear. But at the same time, and that brings me to one of my first points, is that it's important not to run from something, but to try to overcome the hurdles you have now at your work and try to achieve something within this company, at least maybe one, but very big projects or many projects and many accomplishments, so that you will have something to tell about to the recruiter or your future manager. So you need to be able to explain your CV and explain like, yeah, I haven't worked at one place for a long time, but I accomplished a lot, and these 2 years, they can equal to 10 years if you just count the number of accomplishments and projects I've done. You can call people I worked with, like I'm not ashamed of that. I can give you the numbers of those people. You can call them. You can check. You can make this like reference check. I always also explain it not only by accomplishments, but that I always pursue something new, and I like I'm an adventurous person. I like to learn new things. I like new challenges, and I don't like staying in a comfort zone. And when I feel myself too comfortable, and this is true, this is not just an explanation for a recruiter. When I feel myself too comfortable, I want to move. And I think that if you can explain your non-linear, strange, non-conventional CV, it's gonna be all right if a recruiter is a normal person. And I read in Harvard Business Review that right now, like the leader of the modern times is shaped by multiple careers and multiple industries normally, because this is almost the only way to know how different sides of the businesses work, how different teams work, how different people work, and this is the only way to become a big leader. So already like big titles are written about that you shouldn't be ashamed of a non-linear career track.
And I totally agree with that. And so we were talking about this briefly yesterday, but I do review CVs as part of, in our company, so for my team, and that's one of the first things that I would ask. So to your point about what Harvard Business Review was saying from your past experience, it is a matter of, can you tell the story? Can you explain your situation? Mm-hmm. If you can, and there's value in there, and you can demonstrate, this is what I learned, this is what I took away from it, this is why I want to move, it actually enhances your resume, if anything. So I totally agree with that. I don't think it's something that people need to be, overly self-conscious about, or that it in any way is sort of a negative. But all about, again, to the communication and to the marketing of yourself. It's about how you explain all that, I think. Yeah. So just to agree with that point.
We used to think that career, and we used to live in the world where career was something linear. Like if we move back, 300 years back, 400 years back, if your grandfather was a blacksmith, then most likely your dad was a blacksmith. And guess what? You were also most likely work as a blacksmith. Then if we go 100 years back, then, okay, it was completely normal where you start working in your, like somewhere in the industry, somewhere in the factory or something, and then you work there for a long time. And I think in Asian culture, it's still like you have the lifetime employment concept. And then you work there for a long time, you get the 10-year award, and then like it was completely normal, and it was encouraged to stay long for like in one place. Nowadays, we don't live in our career is non-linear. And as you guys mentioned, it's completely normal to get transferable skills in different industries, and then you put it all together and you become a stronger player. And then also, I think even now it's even encouraged where you have something serious besides your work. So for example, you have your own main job, and then you have a side hustle, or you have a serious hobby that you work with.
You mean like a podcast?
Like a podcast, for example, or your blog, or I don't know, maybe you volunteer, maybe you help, like maybe you run an animal shelter or something like that. And it is good because, again, it gives you new skills, something that you cannot even get at work, and it gives you another like feeling of satisfaction and the feeling of like your self-actualization. I think it's now, I believe that we look at this completely different. And if anybody is a little bit afraid of making career shifts and career moves because, oh my God, I don't know how it's going to look in my CV, who the hell cares? Like, just don't think about it. Everything, like you can explain everything, you can show your achievements, and if the employer still considers this as the red flag, guess what? This is the red flag in this employer for you.
Yeah.
And yeah, I totally agree with that. And just to direct it back to you briefly, Dasha. So how many different jobs in total? What is it, 6, 8? Have you lost count?
Let's go ahead. So we have consulting company in the very beginning. Then we have PwC. Yeah, this is where we met.
Where you? I was
where we met. This is where we met. Yeah. Then we had the advertising agency,
media,
French company. Then we had your music band.
Then I had multiple freelance projects, and I even tried to build myself as an entrepreneur in the music industry. And I even invested my little pocket money in some music bands, but I burned everything. So yeah, after that there was TikTok. After that there was Lenza, the AI app. After that Toda, and now Dream Laser. So how 9?
9.
Wow. And in how many years?
2010,
Since
No,
since
no,
2016. Yeah.
Since 19.
No. We met 2016. We met in 2016. It's gonna be 10 years that we know each other.
Okay, yeah, that's a lot. No.
But it's interesting. So even to that point about people being scared to make career shifts because of what it looks like on the resume, you're still finding plenty of work. You're doing obviously really well. And even you were telling us yesterday, your former employers do call you back sometimes and do want to work with you. So again, to what you said and to what you said, Vlad, if you spin it correctly, if you actually learn something from these jobs, and if you can market yourself properly, I think that's, if anything, an enhancer more than anything. Your network must be phenomenal. The amount of people you know in the different industries, in different countries. So I think that's, if anything, it's it's a lesson on how you can do that properly if you're going to do it.
Okay. Any final thoughts before we wrap up? Anything you want to address to the audience? And anything you'd like to? Any advice you would want to give to someone?
I think the advice would be, if I'm in the position to give any advice, is that you always need to be very honest with yourself.
Okay.
And you need to honestly ask yourself if you're happy getting up every morning to go to your work. Because if you consciously think that most of your life you only work, and if this job makes you unhappy, this is not something you should do in your life.
But what if I have like serious liabilities? What if I have mortgage? What if I have a kid? What if I have a dog, a cat, a mom?
Yeah, it's important to consider the setup. I don't want to say to everybody like, yeah, just quit your job and, I don't know, climb a mountain, go to Nepal or something like that. No, of course, the circumstances matter. But when it comes to kids, what I think it's very important is that the kids must see happy parents. And they always copy the behavior, they copy the emotions of their parents, like remember yourself being kids and how you looked up at your parents. So if you are completely unhappy, if you really hate your job, don't do this to your kids because they will be unhappy as well. So of course it's a lot about compromise after all, and you need to consider your circumstances, but you also need to understand that you have maybe like 4, maybe 5 decades of your life, and time flies really fast, to try different careers, and that's it. That's the only time you have in this whole life in the universe to try something. So you just need to be honest with yourself and courageous, and remember that when it comes to creative industries where I work, all the people in this industries, they just end up in this industries. They're all ex-engineers, doctors, lawyers, civil engineers, and economists like me. They just end up here, and nobody is ashamed. They just decided to try something new, and many of them became very successful.
What is the weirdest combination you've met in your industry? Former X who became X.
Well, I know now an amazing sound engineer. I think he's one of the best sound engineers I've ever met in my life, who used to be a professional lawyer. And he wanted to pursue the career of the lawyer because everybody told him, like, in music, you will not make any money, you have no education, you will be so unsuccessful, think about your family, think about your kids. And then he just tried himself doing like a volunteer work being a sound engineer, and one guy asked him like, how much money you make being a lawyer? And he said like, I make X money. Okay, I give you the same salary, you will work for me as a sound engineer. And he said, okay, and now he's a professional sound engineer living in Dubai. It's the only like occupation he has, and he is amazing at what he is doing.
Wow.
But yeah, everybody told him, no, you need to become a lawyer, it's serious.
Why not?
It's Boris.
Should we tag him?
See, again, this is her network, which is from all the different careers. Yeah, it's interesting.
I think it would be very interesting to talk.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Sounds
and
great.
there are many stories like this. My yoga teacher is also ex-lawyer. She was doing like
she was a
criminal law
She
in
was
the
a
UK.
criminal?
No.
That would've been pretty interesting.
No, she was not a criminal. Like criminal law in the UK, like very, very serious type of this legal work. And now she's an amazing yoga teacher. And also,
living here.
Yes.
Building successful business here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Michael, any final remarks from your end?
I think we covered everything. I'm happy to finally know where the word what is it? Unfigureoutable, where it really came from. We're saying it came from Dasha, not from you, right? Is that?
I used it for the first time in our podcast.
You did.
Probably I heard it the first time from Dasha. I don't know.
That was sure it exists.
Okay, yeah, I also think it exists.
I don't know. We'll check. I don't think so.
It doesn't really matter. Even if it didn't exist, it does not.
I'm just saying who we credit its creation to.
Oh, right.
Because now I'm talking to the two potential creators, so apparently we're giving it to Dasha.
To Work in Progress Podcast.
Or that. Yeah, but I think really interesting discussion. I think, again, Dasha, your experience and career path has been really interesting, very unconventional, but I think, again, just provides so much insight into no matter how different your jobs are, no matter how different or atypical your path is, how there's common skill sets that you need to learn along the way, common challenges you need to overcome. And just thanks for your time and appreciate you walking us through all that. I think it's been really interesting.
Thank you, guys. For me, it was also very interesting to hear myself from the side and realize that I had 9 jobs in 10 years.
The fact that you guys lost count is pretty interesting.
Great.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to another episode of the Work in Progress podcast. If you like the episode, go ahead and subscribe, leave a comment. If you want to continue the conversation, link in the description below to our WhatsApp community. And on top of that, we have our ongoing Good Habit Challenge taking place in our WhatsApp community. We encourage you to join there. We encourage you to share what good habit you're picking up in 2026. And with that, we'll see you in 2 weeks.